Hey everybody, welcome to another JBoz gaming video. I'm your host JBoz, and today I'd like to talk to you about a map called Pilsen. So continuing our map strategy and continuing with maps that we'll find early on in our tanking career, Pilsen happens to be one of those. And so um, let's get into it. Let's talk about Pilsen. So the first thing I want to tell you about Pilsen is it's a map that has something for everybody. Meaning that if you're a heavy, there's a certain area for you to go, and you can brawl as a heavy. If you're a medium, there's a couple places that you can go and still feel like you can be effective with your skills and what the tank has to offer. And if you're a tank destroyer, you're obviously going to be critical to holding certain flanks, and you can actually be pretty effective in doing that. And of course, if you're a light tank, there's an area for you to kind of spot and do all the running around you'd like to do. And so kind of it's a map that offers an area for everyone. And I think because of that, a lot of people, because they don't know where to go on Pilsen, they don't know how the map usually plays, they feel a little lost on Pilsen. So hopefully this video will help you understand, depending on your tank type, maybe where you might play. Oh, and I neglected Arties. Sorry, Artie players. There's also obviously it's a good map for Arties as well, especially if people aren't Artie safe. So Arties can have a good game on Pilsen as well. So let's get into it. The standard battle, the cap circles are in the opposing corners. One will be located in the northeast corner, and the other one will be located in the southwest corner. So we'll go ahead and draw those just so you know kind of where they will be located on a map. Let's throw green up here, and we'll throw red down below. Let's throw red down here. And so this is just going to be kind of representing where, the opposing flags will be. All right. If it is a encounter battle, then there will be a cap circle in the center. Ooh, lordy. That's a little large. It will be in the center, but it will be a little smaller than that. So let's make that. Gonna have to undo that one. Let me make this this list a little smaller for us so that we can move it to the area that. The heck on it! Why is it not letting me move it? I apologize. Let's try this again. There we go. There we go. That's a more appropriate size for a cap circle. And so you'll find that in the middle, in the center, kind of of this large open warehouse. We're going to talk about this area as we talk about Pilsen, but just know that this area is special, and you really don't want to be going in this area. Not even, certainly not early game, certainly not mid game, and not even late game if you don't really have full map control of areas that would spot or be able to shoot into the open warehouse. So we'll get into that. But let's start with routes of attack. So we'll start with the north east side first. Because they're in this position on this side of the map, they have the ability to kind of push this down this side further than the southwest side. It's going to take them a little longer to get over here and get around the buildings, so they can't quite push as far on this side. So let's say that the green team could literally push down this far, okay? And because of where the red cap circle is, the red team can actually push this far early game. But we're going to talk about this, and you have to be very careful that this is done in a balanced way. But that's so if you kind of see this, one side, one team on one side has a little kind of advantage as far as how quick they can get into early positions. But let's talk about the green route of attack. So the first one we're going to kind of talk about is this long approach down this is the one line over here, going to the enemy cap circle. Okay. Then there are what are I would consider multiple routes of attack through the two line. And so this is I kind of consider this all one route of attack, even though you can go different directions through the warehouses, right? So you can decide your route, but this is really all represented by the two line. And then of course there is a third route of attack, and that is through the three line to ultimately the enemy's cap circle. There are other ways to get to the enemy's cap circle as you push down the 0-9 line. You can push all the way around these buildings and come in from the east to capture, in this case, the red cap circle. And there's this to me is considered all the same kind of route of attack, but if you stay on the roads in between the hills here, because this is kind of a hilly area, this is a big hill, this is a hill, this is a hill, you can kind of do the same thing, but it's the same attack route. You can cut across this area to shorten your route. If you do, you're going to encounter the defenses of the enemy team much quicker, and if you're not careful, you can get eliminated. So we're not even going to talk about kind of these routes of attack. I mean, you can, if you push and get through these, you can push up to here, but you have to clear enemy defenses before you can just push onto the cap circle. So these are avenues of attack. They're just not going to be open in early game, and it's going to be hard for you to traverse those in early game. So the red attack approaches would be the reverse. The arrows would be just going in the opposite direction, so I won't draw those specifically. But let's talk about how this map generally plays. So over here you have kind of a hilly terrain, and it's really open. There's not very much trees or anything over here. There are some shrubs, but for the most part this is an open side of the map, but it is hilly, and so you can use gun depression to get advantage on enemy tanks over here, and that's why the lights and mediums with good gun depression and speed will tend to go to this side. Occasionally you might have a tank destroyer move up to this hilly kind of building area, and these are hard structures, so it is a fairly safe area if you can get a tank destroyer in this area to help hold down this side. So just know that this is certainly possible for a tank destroyer to go over here. They just aren't going to make much progress until you actually win this side. And then of course over here you will have tank destroyers and heavies approaching the 1, 2, and 3 lines, and we're going to talk about defensive measures and attacks over here in a second. But first I want to cover the arties because they're fairly straightforward. Arties are going to be anywhere on this back line. Generally they, for whatever reason, they stay in this location here. Though I think it is good if an arty can reposition anywhere in here, at least early game. Be very map aware when you do need to retreat and run back. But for the most part, if you get in a position here as an artillery, then you can help hold down the 3 line. You have shots pretty much all over here. Not that you don't here, you do. You just don't have shots down the 3 line. I think you just have more avenues of attack for an artillery if you get in this kind of mid to, I'll just call it a mid-map position here, okay? So think about the arties and maybe positioning them here, but generally you'll find them positioned here on a standard battle. And of course, with The red team, the red Arties, are going to be on the opposite kind of back row. There is I'll call it a ledge. So this piece of ground is higher than this piece of ground. So it slopes down from this line here, okay? And so you don't want the arty to be setting up here because it'll be easily spotted from light tanks and other things that'll certainly win this side. But you want to get your arty over in this mid position, just like the green, because not only will you have shots over here on the 0-9 line, even the 8 line, of course, but you'll also be able to hold down the 3 line. Now you can sit back here and hold down the 1 line, certainly, and you can actually position almost mid here and get some, not completely down the lines, but some fire down the 1 and 3 lines here. But this is where the red arties are going to be setting. A lot of times they're always in this corner. Now, I do see arties from time to time, both green over here and red over here. The problem, or when I see this, is generally in situations where it is an encounter battle, because the teams actually spawn here and here. So it's a little closer route to take an arty from the mid map over to the edge of the flank. And for the red, mid-map over to the edge of the flank. So you will see that, and it is okay to do that, but just know that if the teams lose the flank at all, then you're going to be in early danger of being eliminated as an artillery player. So again, the mid-map area is still generally best for you, and getting below the ridge line, and for the greens, getting behind some kind of cover. For the greens on an encounter battle, generally leaving this building in front of you so that you don't have to worry about any kind of fire coming through here, and getting closer to this edge so you can help with, again, the 3 line and not have to take so much fire. They'd have to really push up in order to get shots on you. And again, when it's an encounter battle, then these 2 blue kind of lines kind of equal out. They move to the middle of the map because really each team has the same ability to get in early positions on either side, and so it's really kind of a more balanced map in that sense. So this is where the light tanks play, is over here. The arties play on the back rows, of course. So that leaves our tank destroyers and our mediums and heavies. Well, mediums can play over here as well, but they also will come into the 1-2 area and try to win the warehouses. Now, this particular part of the map is a little more difficult and takes a little more coordination to win than this side of the map. Because if you're a green heavy or medium and you push too far up, you come down here and you push up this line and you get in this spot here because they've got red tanks at this point, and maybe here, holding you from making any more progress. As soon as you get in this position here, well, now you can be easily outflanked, because if your allies have not won the 1 and 2 line at the same time that you push up the 3 line, then they can easily put tanks, right? They can run a tank through here and actually position it behind you. So now you're in a crossfire because you pushed up too soon. And this can happen on this side of the map as well. If you haven't pushed up the 3 line, but you've pushed up the 1 line, right? And you haven't won the 3 line, well, guess what? They can put tanks again at your rear and have you in a crossfire on either side of this kind of region of the map. So these warehouses here, in order to be successful in taking this side of the map, you really need to make progress on the 1 and 2 line and 3 line all at the same time, meaning that you have to win all of these lines. If you don't, you really can't make progress. I've seen many games where the heavies and the mediums all rush up and they think they've made great progress because they've now been able to push into the enemy territory very deep, right? Only to be eliminated very quickly because they are outflanked by the the enemy team, because they've been able to push the 1 and 2 line opposite the 3 line that's being pushed up. So these lines need to be balanced, and they need to be pushed at the same time in order to have success over here. Okay, so let's talk about positioning of tanks. Tank destroyers are obviously critical for holding down this side of the map. So you'll have the red team will have a tank destroyer sitting here that is shooting down the 3 line. They might even put a tank destroyer here as well. If you have heavies, then you'll have certainly a heavy trying to hold down this line. They might have a tank destroyer pushed up here to hold back any greenies trying to come around the corner. And they might have even positioned, if they have a fast tank destroyer, one right here at the edge of this building to counter greenies pushing up here. So if you can get a tank destroyer anywhere in this area to hold back their progress over here, then that's a good thing, right? So tank destroyers are going to be in defensive positions here and here and here, and they're also going to be on the 1 line, right? They're going to hold the greenies from trying to make progress down this 1 line towards our cap, and of course they can react if they need to the 2 line. Either one of these can and still reposition and shoot into the 2 line if they need to. And of course mediums will push in and side scrape as best they can. Heavies will do the same and try to push up and position their tanks wherever they can get a spot in the warehouses and so on to try to win this flank and try to hold any progress that's being made on this side. Now the reverse is going to be true of the green team. You're going to have a heavy positioned here. If you don't have heavies, there might be a tank destroyer positioned here. You certainly will want to have a tank destroyer positioned here, trying to support the second tank destroyer. You'll definitely want to have a tank destroyer here that's holding down the 1 line, and he could be as far back as here as well. But you'll want to have tank destroyers supporting the defense of the 1 and 3 line, and of course you might even have one that is either sitting way back here waiting on them to come through the 2 line, though I don't advise that because they could outflank your tank destroyers. You do want to probably put something on the 2 line to hold the 2 line in case they do make it through the warehouse. And the same thing, the heavies, if you have heavies, and mediums will make as much progress as they can into the warehouse to be able to side scrape and hold down this position as well. So kind of think of this as the northeast warehouse, because that's who generally will win this and hold this early in the game. And this will be the southwest warehouse, because that's who generally will have control of this warehouse early in the game. And the goal is to take control of this of the opposing team's warehouse with balance. So being able to take and control all 3 avenues as you push up wins you this whole region, which then you can start your attack on the cap. Okay, and similar to this side, this is also a hill. Okay, so this slopes down right here. So if you can position tanks below this ridge line, then if they do make it down the 0-9 line, you're not in jeopardy of being outflanked because you're below the ridge line. Okay, and that's why setting tank destroyers back here to shoot down or shoot people that are coming here does little good, because they're going to make all the progress they want to until they get to the ridge line, and then you can hold them at the ridge line. Okay, let's see. So that's heavies, mediums, and light tanks we've talked about. We've talked about tank destroyers and defensive positions there. You can, just so I didn't draw it, but I did mention it, you can have a potential tank destroyer that moves up and takes position here. And we did say that red sometimes will have a really fast tank destroyer that they can position here to hold some of the lights at bay. Okay. The other thing to note before I kind of wrap this video is, if you do win this line, there's areas between the hills here that give you shots into the opposing column, right? So this is the 0, this is the 9 line. The hills are kind of on the 9 line. So if you kind of think of it this way, this is a large hill here. This is a hill, this is a hill, this is a hill, right? So between the hills, you actually have firing lanes, if you will. And this gives you, if you do win this side, whether you're green or red, you will be able to fire into this middle area without much trouble at all. Okay? Which leads me to the major point and the most important point of this map, which is the open warehouse and pretty much anything around it, anything in this pink area, if you will. And this includes encounter battles, early game, mid game, and even late game without map dominance. This is a no-go zone. This will get your butt shot. It could get you tracked. It could get you ammo racked. There's going to be somebody, if they're in a position to shoot you, is going to take a shot at you as you try to traverse this area. So this middle part of the map, where, you know, a lot of maps, it's a good idea to kind of go into the middle and be able to spot. Well, there's really not much spotting advantage to being in the warehouse, because if you can see them, they certainly can see you. This is an open warehouse. There's not a lot of places to hide. In fact, there's not anywhere to hide in the warehouse itself. Now, there are train cars and other things that position here. And you might have a red heavy position on the corner here to hold light tanks as best they can. Usually they're too slow and they won't be able to position in this spot early enough to get early damage. And as soon as the tanks are able to make progress down the 0-9 line, then all of a sudden this heavy is open up to firing, and generally heavies are too slow. So maybe you can put a medium here. I do see people do that on occasion. You know, put tanks on the corners of the warehouse to kind of control any flow on the 0-9 line. But I usually see these people die. So again, I would say, and this is my opinion, that this is a no-go zone. It will get you killed on Pilsen. Pilsen's a fun map. Like I said, it has something for everybody, but it doesn't have anything to offer anybody in the middle of the map. So that's my warning. Hopefully you heed it. Hopefully this video has been helpful, and you've learned something about how Pilsen plays. If you did like this video, go ahead and hit the thumbs up, the like button. And also, if you like what we're doing here at JBoz Gaming, you know, please subscribe. It helps the channel grow. And if you want to know when the next video drops, go ahead and hit that bell, because you'll get a notification that I've posted another video. So until then, good luck, and we'll see you in the next battle.